Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Alice. Alice had bright blue eyes and long, wavy blonde hair. She was a curious and adventurous little girl, always wanting to discover something new. One sunny day, Alice was sitting under a big tree with her sister. Her sister was reading a very boring book, and Alice was feeling quite sleepy. Just as she was about to doze off, she saw a little white rabbit hopping by. This wasn't just any rabbit, for he was wearing a blue coat and a tiny hat. To Alice's amazement, the rabbit pulled out a pocket watch from his coat and said, "Oh dear, oh dear, I shall be late." Alice's curiosity piqued. She decided she must follow him. The white rabbit hopped across the lawn, and Alice quickly got up and followed him. She saw the rabbit hop into a hole in the ground. Without thinking, Alice jumped in too. Down and down she fell, through what seemed like a deep, endless tunnel. As she fell, she noticed books and lamps floating around her. It was such a strange place, but Alice was not afraid. She was just very curious about where she was going. Finally, she landed gently on a soft pile of leaves at the bottom. She got up, brushed off her dress, and looked around. She was in a strange and magical land, much different from where she came from. In this land, flowers could talk, cats could smile, and she even met a very mad hatter having a tea party. But that is a story for another time. Alice walked a little further and saw a golden key on a tiny table. She tried every door, but found one very small door hidden behind some curtains. It was the perfect fit for the key. But when she opened it, she could see the most beautiful garden. However, she was too big to fit through the tiny door. Alice was determined to see the garden. She found a little bottle on the table with a label that said, "Drink me." Without thinking twice, Alice took a sip. Magically, she began to shrink until she was just the right size to walk through the little door. But oh, she realized she forgot the key on the table, and now she was too small to reach it. Fortunately, she found a little cake that said, "Eat me." So, she took a tiny nibble, and just like magic, she started growing taller and taller. Soon she was big enough to get the key. After a few more magical changes in size, Alice managed to find the right way to reach the garden. She stepped through the small door and into the most wonderful and colorful garden she had ever seen. Trees were made of candy, and the flowers were bigger than her. Alice had many more adventures in this magical land, talking to smiling cats and mad hatters, but those are tales for another time. For now, Alice had found herself in a world filled with wonder and magic.